take the LLMs that are out there in the market, and based on a recent Stanford study done out there, most of them do not conform to the EU Data Act. In fact, interestingly, the best performing, around 75% score, is Bloom from Hugging Face, an open source software. Tells you something about the open source movement, doesn't it? The advent of the internet and the early 2000s did something. They made zero marginal cost happen for unlimited content access and sharing. Zero marginal cost is just a fancy term which we consultants use to tell you what is the cost of adding one more user to the ecosystem. And what has AI done? It has made the content creation abundant and made it at zero, not marginal cost. So we can enjoy watching the Pope dressed in a Balenciaga coat, Charles and Camilla dancing on their coronation, and Merkel and Obama sharing a warm, romantic, sweet moment on a beach somewhere. And all of this is funny and cute up until it is not. Because what are you going to do with all this abundant information out there? There's data out there to suggest that already 60% of all internet traffic is bots. So we are going to have more and more abundant content creation, and AI will definitely cause, and is already causing, a trust problem. So great thing, Jasvin. What is your solution? You're scaring me out here. I have a solution. You can go ahead and eliminate all inauthentic data out there, fake data out there. But what are you going to delete the entire internet? Thankfully, Gandalf has an answer. He says, authentication may be where our answers lie. And guess which technology umbrella is offering most innovative solutions in that space? Web3. So there are many different definitions of Web3 out there, and I would like to today really ask you to focus on this one. Because Web 1 and Web 2, while they democratize information and publishing, Web3 really democratizes ownership. It's about creating an ecosystem of digital creatorship where you can incentivize the people who participate in that ecosystem as a community through blockchain-based tokens. Of course, there are enough 23,000 tokens out there. Around 2,000 of them are the actual valuable ones, with Bitcoin and Ethereum being at the top of the pyramid. So what Web3 is also doing is that it is lowering marginal costs with regards to verification, interoperability and portability, and composability, which is a fancy term for Lego brick thinking. And what it's doing is it's giving us the possibility to have digital creation with provenance. Again, a fancy term for just tracking. If you are creating a digital asset online, it can be logged in on the blockchain in your name, and you can be fairly compensated for it with royalties throughout your lifetime. But if you ask me, what immensely excites me in this time is that for the first time in the history of the world, people below and above the equator are coming at the table. They are grabbing a seat at the table to discuss and decide how the technological and financial world of tomorrow will look like. So whether it's the software engineers from Bogota or the ones from India or any other place in Africa, these are self-taught engineers. Mind you, there are no degrees being offered by the esteemed universities in this blockchain space at the moment. 30,000 of them around in the world coming together often in creative environments to change the landscape of technology as we know it. This has the potential to create not just one Silicon Valley on one continent, but a Silicon Valley in every home. And that is exciting. But I do know that Web3 has a why problem. What I mean by that is that while we have the creation of coins through ICOs and the speculation layer all sorted out, we still have a problem in the central core tenet of the why of Web3. The whole concept of value creation, what is it that we're solving in the first place? The good news, though, is that Web3 is still very much in its infancy stages. People will tell you, oh, it's been around since 2008, since the Bitcoin white paper came out. But if you actually see, the ecosystem has really catapulted since 2020, not before that. So can AI really be Web3's why? Jasvin, why are you bringing Web3 into this? What's your problem? Let the big companies take care of it. Well, there is something that each of us needs to think about, because 1/3 of all global traffic is owned by just 3 companies in the world. And they also, another 2 added to it, own half of NASDAQ's 100 market cap. Now, but in a world ruled by data, where your data and my data whether private or professional, will be our biggest data capital. Do you want to be paying these huge amounts of money to centralized players? Why not think about alternatives? Web3 offers us that. And I'm a person who loves to think on first principles. So is AI and Web3 really a novel fellowship? Is it a match made in digital heaven? Even if we go down to the core ethos, Web3 is based on composability and open source. Everybody knows about it. Guess what? Even AI is based on that. I don't know how many of you know that, but the naming convention of different large language models has been based on the Sesame Street characters. That's why you have Bert, that's why you have Ernie, etc., etc. If you've not already done it, read the 2017 Attention is All You Need white paper. This was the game changer in the large language model space, which brought out the transformer model concept, which OpenAI, back then called open source, absorbed, and now they're closed source. So AI and Web3 is a match made in digital heaven. There are companies out there who are already doing great work in this space, whether it's for countering fake news. So if you look at the concept of ZK-SNARK technologies with decentralized identities on the blockchain, or if you're talking about training models and fairly being compensated for them, Fetch AI, OK, before are doing stuff like that. That's one of the companies I'm advising. Creator economy, Singularity Net. Check out the company if you haven't already. It has the potential to become the next Facebook. What is not so good, and I don't want to scare anybody, but what I'm bothered about is with Web3, we have created this massive decentralized computer and infrastructure all around the world. We're talking about autonomous agents taking over where humans will not have a say anymore. Think about the fact when these autonomous agents open up wallets and decide how the world works. We as Web3 community have to create payment and guardrails regarding that. A lot of naysayers will tell you that the training of machine learning algorithms cannot happen on a decentralized infrastructure because it's effort intensive and it just doesn't make sense. But there are companies out there like Jensen and Monster API who are also changing the paradigm in that context. So what does the future hold for the big players? My thesis is that OpenAI will either become this perpetual sustaining innovation in the context of the huge elephant organization that Microsoft is, or it will become really the platform on which any AI technology in the world will be developed. Amazon and Facebook, they will play it smart, Meta, I'm sorry. What they will do is they'll support the open source ecosystem because they're not exactly in competition. This is not their core business model, so they'll try and perpetuate progress in that to cause competition. Apple will do its own thing, but what I'm really wondering is what Google's gonna do. Their click advertising model is not gonna work where you are talking about text-based large language models who are spitting out only one option. Audiences are not clicking on options anymore. What are they gonna do? I'm curious. And of course, the Web3 AI companies are gonna go through a bull pump run. We just have to make sure that they are here to stay and not causing trouble. I just have a couple of slides and I'm done. I know I'm almost over time. But what does it mean for us? Sadly, do not believe in anything unless it's authenticated otherwise, which means that fake news will be the perpetual truth we are living in. What I'm interested in is also the context of visual AI. Do as I say and not as do as I can and not as I say. We are visual beings. We want to see things happen in front of our eyes. That's why I'm bullish on what Apple's going to do in this space. I really do also want to touch upon, while we're talking about the amount of productive work we're going to do now with all the time that we have at hand, we have to also pay attention to the kind of data slavery work like this is perpetuating. Annotation is just a fancy term for data labeling. They are underpaid workers in developing world countries of Africa, India, Asia, and we have to keep in mind what is the state of the data workers in these countries and how are they being compensated. In the end, I would like to leave you with this picture from Hans Morek, who talked about the rising tide of technology. At the time, he put art cinematography on the peaks, assuming there's still time till the rising water reaches there. But LLMs have kind of changed that. So we're going to need a bigger boat. It's not an issue. We just have to think about what is the rowing gear and the sails we accompany and take with us on this journey. Maybe Web3 is where the answer lies. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jasvin. Happy to connect with you all on LinkedIn. That's where I'm most active. Instagram and Twitter is also where I'm most active. And happy to answer any questions you may have.